Hello, hello. I am Cassie Brown, and I am thrilled to welcome you to the Amplify My Impact podcast. After years of consulting and managing programs for some of the top entrepreneurs, CEOs, and marketers in the industry, I am on a mission to expand our contribution, to grow, scale, and create more so we can do and give more. This podcast celebrates entrepreneurs who are boldly stepping up to own their calling, expand their influence, and stretch outside their comfort zone, who've decided to stop playing it small, pick up the mantle of contribution, and serve at a higher level, to lead by example and light the way for others. If that's you, then get ready to amplify. There's a fire that burns inside your soul, and we're going to ignite it into a roaring blaze of unstoppable momentum. Hi guys, Cassie Brown here. Welcome back to Amplify My Impact. I am so stoked about today's guest, Ms. Tara Bryan, founder of Learn Academy, and she is just an incredible friend, mentor, and genius in this online space. She's been doing this for over 20 years, helping companies create programs and courses and a platform online. And in this climate that we find ourselves, it's more important than ever to have that parallel strategy from offline to online and just have your work represented and archived and just, procured for legacy. Not just so much so that right now people are actively seeking out opportunities to learn and add to their skill sets to transition online. And I'm going to let her say hello and introduce herself and add anything else. And we have a special quote to share with you guys that is pretty much going to represent the direction of this podcast and just the opportunity that if you're already an online entrepreneur, you have to fully step in. And if you're not yet, I hope by the end of this that you have just the capacity to take those bold steps to leap forward and create something for you and your family that just completely shifts the future of your legacy.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks, Cassie, and the Amplified Tribe. So thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And yes, I am like the online course queen, right? I have been doing this forever. It's my passion. I love it. And I love helping people take their expertise or their thing that they love and turn it into an online business that allows them to grow and scale and make a bigger impact. So I'm super happy to be here today.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to share the quote, and it's from Winston Churchill, and I am going to amend it a little bit to be inclusive. To every man or woman, there comes a time in their life that a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered a chance to do a very special thing, unique to them and fitted to their talents.
Yeah.
And this is that tap of the shoulder.
Totally. I love that. And I reread that the other day. A mentor of both of ours has been talking about this quote for a long time. And I reread it the other day and I was like, interesting. Like right now we're finding ourselves in a place, in some cases for the very first time where we have to be online and we have to pivot and we have to transition very quickly. And because this is my thing, this has been my wheelhouse for the past 20 years, it feels like right now I am in a unique opportunity to help more and more people pivot quickly. I actually am doing a 5-day challenge right now and I'm calling it MacGyvering Your Business. So if you don't know who MacGyver was a character on a show back in the day, and he would take a paperclip and a string and something else random and make something out of basically all of those random things and save the world and stop the bomb from going off and all this stuff, right? So right now I feel like I'm in a position to help people MacGyver their current businesses, right? How do you take what you currently do and get it online? And to your point earlier, create that legacy, create that continuation of being able to serve your customers and your clients in the same or similar way that you have always been up until this point.
Yeah, I love that. And talk about pre-qualifying your audience, because the chances are, if someone identifies and they know who MacGyver is, like that's an age qualification, and it's
Well,
and
no,
it's
there are reruns on now, right? Like,
okay,
isn't
but
that like on Netflix now? Like you can
it
find
might
MacGyver.
be. It might be, but no, I'm loving it because I'm looking at it from that perspective. Like you don't have like the kids who are younger, or not even kids, but like, those 20s and 30s who may not be familiar with it. It doesn't take as much convincing for them, like to welcome and embrace online learning.
Mm-hmm. The
They've grown
digital
up with it.
natives.
Yeah, they've
Yeah.
grown up with it. But there is a generation. I think we're lucky because we're on the cusp, where we grew up with like Oregon Trail, but also smartphones. So it's one of those
Yeah.
things where we bridge the gap. But for a lot of people, just the resistance to online learning. And before we started the podcast for this episode, we were chatting about that this is the new status quo. Like there's not any more barriers to entry for online. It's glaring everyone in the face. Like this isn't a choice. We have to be here. And so it's helping, I think, move the industry forward, like by leaps and bounds. And as our job, especially with you and the way that you serve people, that gap of education of like why they need it. They already know that. They already know that they need it now. And now they're realizing, wait, I needed this like 2 years ago. So talk to us about just, not only the importance of it, but literally just embracing it quicker rather than fighting it.
Well, and I think that's the thing right now is, a lot of times when I'm working with people and they want to move their business online or they want to create an online course or product, it's one of those, well, I want to do it someday, right? Like I want to transition my one-on-one services or what I'm doing someday. And it stays on that someday list and it never happens. Or they know that they want to start, but they're distracted with all the other things that they have going on. And so the hardest part is just getting started, right? And so now that they find themselves maybe even without a business that they can go to, it's become now. Now is the time. And it's really just looking at what you've been doing offline and really being able to shift and look at how you can serve in the same way, just through a different means. And so that really just means getting in touch with how you serve people today and what that sort of secret, unique method or way that you show up that makes people drawn to you in the first place. Really looking at that, identifying it, and then reproducing it in different ways than how you've been doing it. And if you can make that shift, the technology, the all the other things just becomes less of a barrier because you're so clear on how you can serve and how you can show up online, right? On just in a different way. And one of the things that I'm talking about a lot right now is that you physically cannot be in the same space as someone, right? But that doesn't mean you can't connect with them. You can't be on a live call like this where you're still connecting, you're still showing up, you're still teaching, you're still serving in the way that you serve your customers. And I think that a lot of times people think that moving to an online course or an online product is this mysterious like other world or something that you have to create. And it's really just showing up for your people in a way that they can consume it either live with you online or on demand, right? Those are kind of the two different ways, is a live call like this, or you are pre-recording something or recording what you're doing and people can access it whenever they want to. So it's not this big mystery. It's really just shifting the way that you show up to be online. And I think that's one of the fun things right now of watching people who all of a sudden have to work from home that have never worked from home before. And they're sort of experiencing some of the things that maybe those of us who have been doing this for years have realized. Like you can, like, this is a really funny example, but like you can like dress up on the top half of you and like wear your shorts or sweatpants or jeans or whatever on the bottom and like nobody knows, right? Like
Yes.
It's so fun working with my corporate clients on the digital learning side of the house, right? I own an agency as well where I help people on just a different scale. But it's so fun. They're showing up and they're like, I'm in my sweatpants. And I'm like, but like that's where it's like fun, right? Like you get to show up in a different way. It doesn't mean that it's a less experience. It doesn't mean that you're not present. It just means you get to show up in a little bit more unique or creative way. So
yeah, I love that you mentioned that because I was honestly like the other day, I've been joking with Adam because, obviously we're staying at home but every day there's like a Amazon package on the door. I'm like, can you just stop? Can you just stop ordering? And, but then the other day I was thinking, I think I need more yoga pants.
Right. Yeah. But it's that shift, right? Like that ability to shift and just go with it and take that imperfect action of, you know what, like I'm just going to show up and maybe, maybe like 5 minutes before I was working out. And so I just put on my thing and go. And so if you let it, it could be freeing. If you let it, it could be a fun experience that you're just experimenting and getting creative and curious about how you can show up in a different way. And then take the steps to make it happen. And here's the deal is like, before you know it, you actually like have all these assets that you can then use and package and get out to even more people than you were serving before. Yeah. And so right now I think there's never been a better time to kind of make that progressive like shift and then see what happens as you go from sort of the short-term strategy to a long-term game plan.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that. And that's what I kind of want to ask you about. Can you share that shift that happened in your own life? Because I think a lot of, the fork in the road opportunities and that huge mind shift comes out of a time where we may feel like our back is against the wall and we have to get really creative with our options. Yeah. And at some point in time, I really believe this happens in everyone's life. Like they just experience it differently. And right now, as a collective world, I think a lot of people are experiencing this. For some, it could be very traumatic. For others, it is enlightening, and it's a huge paradigm shift of what's truly important, what we can do with our time. You start really taking stock and inventory of like, am I passionate about this? Am I serving in a way, especially if you're impact driven? Like there is definitely a way to align your impact with your income. And I think this is one of those opportunities to truly leap and full on take faith and don't look back. And I'm familiar with your story, and I think it's an incredible one that a lot of people need to hear. And if nothing else, to give them that small amount of courage to take that leap, because like this is that opportunity. Like for you as a course creator and a leader in that industry, this is your tap on the shoulder, but for someone else, it could be their tap on the shoulder to finally take that leap forward.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So my story is probably typical to a lot of people, right? I started in corporate. I did all of the traditional things you're supposed to do, right? I went to school, I got the MBA, did the corporate thing because that's what I was taught. That's what I was told is, work really hard and do all the traditional stuff. And so I took that path. And then I was sort of always had that entrepreneurial spirit. I just didn't really know that that's what it was called. So even when I was young, like, I don't know if you did this, Cassie, when you were young, but like I would babysit kids, and then I would come with I would make all these like hair things and like all this stuff for the kids. And I'd be like, hey parents, I've got these like bows that I made for the kids and I've got all this stuff and it's just $5 or, whatever, right? Like I just always had that sort of creative entrepreneurial slant to me. And so when I was in corporate, I came to that day where I was like, you know what, it's time. Started freelancing, and then eventually quit my traditional safe job, and went out on my own. And really at that time was sort of in the gig economy, right? Like I sort of just was a freelancer, contractor, and then started to build my business from there. And I built a business, and as a lot of people, what happened was I built a business, which was great. And then I was super busy. And so I was actually working like 2 or 3 times more than I was in corporate. And I thought, this is interesting. What the heck am I supposed to do here? Like, this isn't really exactly what I had imagined. But it wasn't until my middle child was born, and the day after she was born, I had my laptop on my lap. I had her with me, my laptop, and I was trying to do client fulfillment because I had deadlines that I needed to make, and I didn't have the resources. I didn't have the infrastructure set up where the business was serving me, right? I was sort of had recreated myself a job, which is a really crappy place to be in. And so, funny enough, as an online course creator, I looked at my situation and I thought, maybe I should create my own online course and scale my business that way. And so that was the big turning point for me in terms of creating and packaging my services in just a different way, right? So I still grew the agency. I grew that traditionally through having employees and building that sort of infrastructure, but also created courses that would grow and scale the business in a different way. And so for me, that was my big turning point of I need to do something different. I need to look at how I can serve more people in a bigger way without having it completely overtake my time. And so she's 11 now, and that has been that transition for me throughout that time. But that's a little bit of my story and how I actually identified that what I was actually doing, I could be doing for myself and growing and scaling in a completely different way. And so since then, I've been helping other people do that as well, and really make that shift from having that passion, being that awesome technician, and building that kind of one-on-one business. How do you transition that to at least offer a leveraged product or service that helps, sort of leapfrog that time constraint that we all have?
Yeah. And I'm so thankful that you did and you made that leap, because I am blessed by your friendship and your guidance, because like so many of you simplified the process and you helped me understand exactly, because it can be overwhelming when you get to the point where you have that aha moment, like, wait, there is a different way for me to communicate and scale this and duplicate myself. Like I can't physically duplicate myself, but if I pay attention to what I'm saying or how I'm answering things all the time, or certain foundational strategies that don't change regardless of the technology or the decade, really, because especially in marketing, there are marketing principles that have been proven for hundreds of years, and it just all comes back to human nature. Like there's certain things that do not change. And those are the things that we need to grasp onto. And then there's also that need, like you said, for that on demand as technology does increase and change. Mm-hmm. Your skill set of being that expert to consolidate the information and cut through all of the noise becomes valuable. Because on one hand, yes, you can search YouTube and Google, but are you going to spend hours searching and trying to figure out, like, because this YouTube video is optimized with certain search words and tags, you're sitting there 30 minutes in and it's not solving your problem. Mm-hmm. You get to the point where that information becomes valuable and you're either going to trade your time for it or your money for it. And that's where the opportunity lies for a lot of people.
Yeah. And that's really the thing, right? And that's, as an expert, you have the best ability to give people the fastest path to that result that they're looking for, right? And so the way that we do it is really look at how do you package your unique perspective or your unique way of solving the problem that you're best and uniquely qualified to solve, how do you do that for someone in a fast and packaged way to give them the result that they're looking for? Yes, because you can go out and look at information all day long and go down a rabbit hole of like all this stuff. But you need somebody who can give you that fastest path to getting to your result, right? Like how can you help your people get there? And that's what you're most uniquely qualified to do. One of the things I love about that is just the fact that you can show up in a way for people that you give them that path, those steps that they can follow. We call it the success path. You give them the steps to follow to get to the result. And because you have that, because you've packaged it, people can actually consume it without you physically having to teach them each and every time, which means that you can do it one time, right? Like you can package it up one time, teach it, give them the tools to be successful, and then they can consume it whenever they can, like on demand, right? Where they're experiencing you. One of my favorite situations, and this is like such a huge mindset shift, because as experts, as people who are doing one-on-one services, a lot of times we think that we have to be physically with somebody in order for that to teach them, in order for them to get the result. One of my favorite shifts is that moment when someone comes to you and they say, I have been watching your training and I have been like, when you said this one thing, when you gave me this one thing, it changed my world. And you're like, I wasn't with you. And the thing is that they're still experiencing you, even though you did it that one time to teach them and to be able to get it out to so many people. They're still getting what they need. You're just not repeating yourself a million different times, right? And it's that power of when you realize that you can help people without being physically present, that the game changes. Because you can make that impact, and you can make that impact in such a big way, and they are still getting you and your time and your attention. They're just getting it when they need it and on demand, like because you're showing up. And so it's not a less experience for them. It's not a less experience for you. It's just a different way to package what you're doing and make an even bigger impact than you have in the past. So it's that moment, I think that's the shift for so many people when they have that person who says, I was watching you and you said this thing and it totally changed my entire world. And you're like, that's so cool, because I wasn't actually there, right? My brilliance was like captured on video and they were able to still see it. And that's the shift. That it's like this little mental thing that that once that happens, you realize that it's about your message and what you have to offer, not how present you are in the moment.
Right. And you have a philosophy, and as we get to the top of the hour, I definitely want to respect and honor your time with us. And but you have a philosophy that I absolutely love and adore. It was one of the things that I aligned with immediately, because this is intimidating. You know, as we were talking about before, we were mentioning about, you know, the mindset that you shift into to put this into action. It's one thing to plan it. It's one thing to map it out, to have your success path where you're taking people, what you're teaching from point A to point B, but then to actually do it and implement it. And that's a completely different mindset. And I love the way that you explain it, because for me, I didn't want to be a guru. I sort of reject that. Because I feel like I'm a lifetime learner, and I love that you encourage that and you brace it, because it's at that point where I don't want to be your guru. I want to be your guide. And that is a principle that you share is stepping into that identity of being a guide.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So that's really, to your point, what I teach is that as an expert, you have all of this knowledge, right? Like if you look at, where you fall when you're an expert, if there's like a scale between 1 and 10, right? Like when you're an expert, like you are at a 10, you are automatically doing it. You're rocking it, right? Like it's just your thing, and you don't even think about how you do it anymore because it's so automatic. And when you're teaching other people, when you're helping other people be successful, it's really looking at where they are. And most of the time, like they're at like a 2 or a 3, right? And they maybe need to get to a 4 or a 5. Like they don't really need to get to a 10. Like they are not going to be where you are for a while, right? And they don't need to get there. But as experts, what we tend to do is because we're so excited and passionate, we want to get them to a 10. We're like, yeah, you need to know all this stuff. And they really don't. They really just need to go on their path and scooch themselves forward so they can start getting results. And so as an expert, it's really looking at that learner and where they are and shifting from that level of expertise of being a 10 to how do I become their guide, to guide them along the path to even just get to the 4 or 5, or even just get a little bit more along the path. Because when you step into guiding them along their journey and walking with them along the path, then what happens is that you step into where they are and help them be successful in their own way, and not like have them be successful like you. And making that shift is one of the most important things that you can do as you're moving into this. And then of course, practicing, right? Practicing being the guide and moving people forward is part of what I teach in the course is by doing a beta, right? By starting out, by taking imperfect action and just walking the path with them, being really clear on what the result is you want to get for them, allows you to start really identifying with where they are and what their needs are, and not going too far down into that path of giving them everything.
Yeah. And that is honestly, that's something that I struggled with a lot. I was like, I just want to give them all the things. Yeah. But you have a beautiful real life example and analogy of how to simplify and sort of like chunk up and segment what we teach for those quick wins to create confident clients and members of the courses. Because as a course creator, I think it can get into dangerous territory to overwhelm and stop them in their tracks. And we want them to successfully complete the course. And one of my favorite analogies that you share is the pizza and the French fries.
Everybody loves that one. Yeah. So yes, the pizza and the French fries is a popular one. But it's very, very true. And it resonates, I think, with most people. So the story is that if you are, even if you are a skier, not a skier, right? The story is about being a skier, a downhill winter skier. So we're running into summer right now. So not a water skier, but an actual like mountain snow skier. So if you know how to ski, you may remember back to that day that you had to learn for the first time. Or if you're not a skier and you decide that you want to learn, then it's just like such a perfect visual. So you get all dressed in your gear, your cute little ski outfit and your goggles and your helmet and the whole bit. You put your skis on and you have your poles and you're with your instructor and you go up the mountain on the chairlift and you're excited and nervous and you've got all of these feelings of like, I really want to learn how to do this. And I'm excited and oh my gosh, we're going up this huge mountain and how am I going to get down? Like what's going on? Right. So you get up to the top of the mountain and you're standing, looking down the ski hill, and you're standing there and you are like, how on earth am I going to get down this mountain? Like, what do I do? I have these skis, I have these poles, and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this. And the instructor that's next to you starts talking and he says, let me tell you all about the history of skiing. And you know what? Your skis were manufactured in this location during this year, and they're a little bit different than they used to be because they're cut a little different and whatever. And you know what? There are like 52 ski resorts in this area. And, this is the one that's the most complicated and blah, 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 and all of a sudden they're talking about all this stuff. And you're like looking down this mountain. And what do you think you're thinking about? Right? All you're thinking about is, how do I get down this thing without killing myself? I don't want to end up in that toboggan thing that's going to take me to the hospital. Right? And so the instructor is talking about all this stuff and all of this information, and all you're doing is staring down the mountain, and the level of anxiety and pressure that you have just starts to mount because you don't even know how to do this, right? All you really need, and this is where the pizza and the French fry come in, and if you are a skier, you know what I'm talking about because you learned this when you were small, is that pizza is how you stop, and French fries is how you go. At that moment, when you are staring down a mountain, all you care about is how to stop. And then how to go a little bit, but then how to stop, how to go a little bit more, and then how to stop, right? That's it. That's all you care about. And so to have this instructor talking to you about all this other stuff doesn't mean anything. And to be honest, it's not going anywhere because your learner and you at the top, like, you are not there. You just want to safely get down the mountain. And that's what's important to you at this moment. And that is exactly what's happening to your learners because they have a pain, they have a problem, they have a challenge, they have something that's not working that you have the result for. And right now they're focused on, how do I get to that result? They don't care, or they cannot take in all this other stuff that you want to teach them because it's not getting them to that result. So that's why, like, when we move forward and we talk about what is the fastest path, what are the steps that they need to take to get down that mountain, to get to that result, it's usually just a couple of things. It's not all of it, right? And I was talking to somebody the other day, and he's doing a course right now, and one of the topics he was teaching was on exercise. And he's like, the problem is I have all of this stuff on exercise that I want to teach. I have like 185 slides. And I said, where is your person right now? Well, they don't really exercise. I said, okay, great. So they're on the couch, and they need to go from the couch to moving. Like, that's really all. They don't need 185 slides about exercise and why exercise is important and all of the factors and the 5 key steps of like, they don't need any of that. They just need to get up and start walking, right? And then they can, once they are walking, maybe then they can run just a little bit. And then from there, maybe they can run a little bit more. And maybe from there, they can, run a 5K, right? But you can't say, go from the couch to running a marathon. Like, that's not possible for people. But that's what we do so often as experts, is we go from the couch to the marathon because we're so excited about the marathon. But we've got to meet people where they are, and that's the pizza and the French fries. And so thank you for that. But that's the analogy. And it's funny because most of the time I tell people, like, you can cut out 85% of your content that you have, and people are going to be more successful, right? Because they get overwhelmed, right? Like yeah. When we expend too many calories trying to figure out how to make something happen, we just don't take action at all.
Yeah. And I think that is the top 2 things, if nothing else you take away from this podcast, is simplify as much as possible to give them the courage and confidence to take action. And that's essentially what we're trying to do on this podcast. So if you're listening as a course creator or a coach or working on a program, get it off the whiteboard and figure out, how can I put this into motion today? How can I share it and get results and start serving? Stop overcomplicating things, stop overthinking things, and get out there, step up and lead. If you're listening to this and you're like, okay, I recognize that I need to step into this online world. It's intimidating and it's scary. The decisions that you have to make is not only, one, you are worthy, you have that area of expertise and experience that you can share, I promise you there is probably something that somebody asked you how to do. Like pay attention and sort of like do a deep reflection on where that is with your superpowers. It's usually probably something that you think is crazy, easy, ridiculously, effortless, that other people will find value in, because chances are that is where the value lies. Like when you can shortcut somebody's results, like from their point A to point B, when you can save them time, money, effort, stress, anxiety, and help them achieve the results that they want to achieve, that's where your business opportunity is. That's where your greatest legacy is. And if you just, have that faith to take that leap and just keep going and just start serving, make the offer, call somebody up and ask them if they need help. It can start at any point in time, but the decision is yours to just get started.
Yeah, that's awesome for sure. And the cool thing is that once you get started, then they're going to go on the journey with you, and then you can keep helping, you can keep serving. And when you keep helping and you keep serving, then they're ready for more. Then they're ready to continue to gain that mastery and maybe start running that marathon, right? But they've got to get started in order to do that, as well as like you have to get started in order to do that, because that's the travesty, right? Like you believe this too, is that people need what you have to offer as an expert, right? Like people need it. And if you're not helping people and you're not giving them your gift, then they're missing out, right? So it's even just looking at it from that perspective. If you're not serving in the way that like your passion, your heart needs you to do, that other people are missing that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Tara, thank you so much for being here and sharing your expertise. If you guys want to connect with Tara, definitely, she's a member of the Amplify My Impact group. She's someone that I love and I adore. I lean into her expertise. She's just so incredibly talented in the way that she can help you, like, just distill it down and simplify it, because let's face it, like we are really good at overcomplicating things. And so I'm thankful to have her in my life and in a community to serve. And so her website is taralbryan.com. And especially in our free group, the Amplify My Impact group, like all of her stuff is there. I think you recently did a workshop that we shared, and I just want to make sure that we have all of the resources available. So we'll definitely get all of the links and posted and shared and all of that stuff, because you definitely want to connect with her and find her, and just, surround yourself with people in your life that give you that courage to move forward. And Tara is definitely one of them. So Tara, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I just appreciate being here. I think that now is the time. If you've been thinking about moving what you're doing online and creating either an additional point of revenue, or even just shifting, that now is the time to do it. We are in a position where it's the new status quo, as you said earlier. And so I'm just excited for what's to come, and to see how many people can shift online and to be able to serve in a different way. So I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me today. And it's awesome, as always, to talk to you.
Awesome. All right, guys, go and launch something. Share your wisdom with the world. And if you do, use the hashtag Amplify My Impact, tag me, Cassie Brown, tag Tara. Let us know that you're out there taking action and serving the world with that incredible, unique experience and gifts that you have. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Oh, yay. Yay. Because I'm really working on telling more of my story. And I went ahead and did that kind of line in the sand because it transitioned from Brace for Impact to Amplify My Impact. And just talking to a lot of people, they were like, oh my gosh, yes, why isn't it Amplify My Impact? Because when I created it, Brace for Impact, reflected like where I was at in my journey, where I was still in that like resistance mode. Like, I know I need to serve. I know I have a purpose. I'm doing my best. But it's painful. Like it is painful. And the call to action was always amplify my impact. So it was like, that yin and yang. And as the coaching program rolled out, as the retreat rolled out, I'm thinking like Brace for Impact is the only thing. Like it's like one of these things just doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
And so I started talking to Melina, who helped us with the rebrand on everything, and she was like, yeah, you could totally just shift everything and make it cohesive, and that was sort of like my aha. Like, I can, again, from overcomplicating to simplifying.
Yeah.
So and that's what a lot of people identified with. Like, every time someone used the word amplify in a description, like people would tag me, or they would be like, I can't hear that word without thinking about you. So like, I'm like, okay, well, we're doing something right on this end. So why make it an uphill battle with the podcast? So that was sort of like my idea, like, okay, let's make a definitive kind of like bookend, like this season's done. And we're moving into Amplify My Impact, which means bolder, stronger messaging. We're not resisting anymore. We're yielding to purpose. We're going full all in. We're running, and we're taking people with us.
Well, and I love that, like, because I didn't even realize until you just said it that you like the name change, but it's your transition, right? At first it was like, okay, embracing, like, okay, here we go. And now it's like, I'm in, let's blow it up. Right. Yeah. So like, I love that even the words are so clear in terms of that's your path. Right. Yeah, like that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, it was definitely a very personal journey. And, so when I love the way that you incorporate that in all of your teaching. Is like, that's why I identify with the guide, because it's like, I so much can identify with the pain and the struggle and the resistance. And it's one of those things where if you don't hide that and you share it, that it helps people take that step and the next one and the next one and the next one. And then at the end of the day, like, I don't want to be one of those people who are like on that pedestal who others like think are perfect or they compare to. And it's like, no, struggle was my staircase to this. And it's the one that lifted each step every time.
Yeah.
And I wish more people would share, because if they did, we wouldn't have that intimidation and the comparison problem.
Yeah,
totally. That we have with that highlights of everything's okay, everything's perfect, because it's not. It's not easy. It's simple when you just yield and keep going. But it's not easy.
Yeah. Well, and don't you think it's interesting? Like, I was even talking to somebody the other day, and she was freaking out about like how many people had joined her challenge that she was doing. Right. And she's like, but I'm looking at this person and they just had like, 20 people join their program, like, yes, like right away. And nobody's joining my challenge. And I'm like, okay, but he's been publishing every single day for 2 years, and he's grown this group who's super responsive. That's why they're buying. It's not because he's doing something better or his offers better or whatever, right? Like, I'm like, it's because he's been showing up for 2 years. Like, you are completely new at this game, and you are stepping in and putting something out there, and nobody's jumping on it right away. Like, that's normal. I'm like, don't compare yourself to where he is right now. Compare yourself to where he was 2 years ago.
Right.
And she's like, yep. And she's like, in our world, right? So it's this constant, I mean, I do it, you do it, everybody does it. It's this constant like reminder that we need that, like, okay, this is fine, right?
Yeah.
Like you've got to start somewhere, because it starts with 2 and then 5 and then 10 and then 50 and then 100. But like, you've got to start with nobody.
Yeah.
And if you start with nobody and you're okay with it, then eventually it can turn into something. But it's so much that just reminder, right? Like all the time of, don't compare yourself to somebody who's at that, at the, 2 years ahead of you or whatever. But I think that's the reason so many people stop, is they're like, this isn't working. And it's like, well, of course it's not working. Nobody knows about you yet. Like, just keep going, and then they'll find you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's always just, it's that need to be perfect and show up perfect. And it's also that need to have it all, like, go from 0 to, a bazillion all in one day.
Right. And I think that is the dangerous, like, everyone wants those extreme success stories. And sometimes the details of those can be exaggerated.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate in the industry that we are in. But some of the most valuable lessons that I found in sharing with coaching is people would ask me, like, especially when we did the Amplify retreat, like, you were like, how did you do it? How did you do this and that? And I was like, you know what I did? I was just committed to be all in, no matter what, if one person bought.
Yeah.
And like, they looked at me like with disbelief, because for them, if they were thinking about doing a live event or a retreat or whatever like that, they were like you said, the minimum of 20 people, 30 people, 50 people. And I just, even in the program that you helped me create, like, I have this module called Impact One. And if I am willing to stand up and serve and impact one person and get them results and prove a model and a framework and a system, I can duplicate it and do it again. Yeah. But I have to have that information, and I have to prove to myself that I can do it. And I just told them, like, that's the philosophy I take with launching anything, is I set the bar so low that I'm mentally not going to even let myself go there if only 5 people or 10 people or 8 people, because my goal was 1.
Yeah.
And I did it with the summit. I did it with the retreat. And it's so funny just to watch them sort of relax and, have those, that clarity, in conversations where they were like, how many people did the Amplify retreat? I was like, I wanted proof of concept. I needed video assets. I was all in committed that I was going to be in LA. Jorge and I needed this stuff for marketing, and I was going to work with Nick. That was happening no matter what. Everything else was the cherry on top.
Yeah.
So there was a total of 5 people, which if you go and you compare that to conferences of 5,000, you're setting yourself up to fail. Like, you're setting yourself up to be disappointed and frustrated. But if my goal was literally back to that Impact One and already investing in the marketing assets of my business, I wasn't even at a break even. I was already ahead of the game. And I think it's just, the way that we pre-frame that in our minds and the way that we look at investing in ourselves and our business and getting our message out there. Proof of concept is a really, really valuable tool.
Yeah, totally.
And a lot of people, they want to get straight to automation and hands off and scaling, because, like, that's what's impressive. Selling $1 million in courses in 4 months is crazy impressive. But I promise you, there were beta tests in front of that $1 million in 4 months. There was pain and struggle, and there was stress, and there was failure that you may not see about, because that's not what is glitzy and attractive.
Totally.
It's the results.
Totally. Yeah.
But the results come from the hard work.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So, every day.
I know. All right, my love. Can I help you with anything?
Well, I for sure want to have you on my podcast.
Oh, well, that's a done deal.
You help me every time we just talk, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like every time it's like, oh yeah, okay. Yep. We're good. Right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just, we need to stay in touch about this whole mom kid working from home thing, right? Like I'm telling you, like, it's just going to be this mom support group.
It is.
I had a day yesterday where I was like, oh my God, like I finally made my 7-year-old take a nap. Because I was like, I don't know what's happening right now. You are a disaster. You are going to lay here with me and like read a book until, I don't know, for like 3 hours, you're not moving. And he finally fell asleep for 2 hours. And I'm like, okay. Because we forget, I think, that they are under a lot of stress too. And they're like picking up our weird energy. And like, it's not, they're not used to not being at school and being home and all of this. And
so. It's funny that you say that, because I did the same thing with Farah yesterday. Like for the past few days, she's been sort of like picking fights and like fighting with Noah, fighting with McKaylee, and just not backing down. And almost like how I just kind of explained, like set yourself up to win. Yeah. I mean, she's totally like, because we got a new puppy and someone will be playing with the puppy, and then they'll start playing with it, and then she'll run over there and like, you're not letting me play with it. And then she'll go tattle and and then she'll start like, sometimes she'll start biting or kicking. And I am like, this isn't going to work. This is
what's happening.
Would you do this in your classroom? Like, I mean, I get that you're in a closed environment for a while, and like on pretty days they'll go swimming, but it's been cold and rainy the past couple of days. So like, even that is compounded. So I just picked her up. I talked to her as we came upstairs, and I'm like, I just need you to lay down and take a nap. And so she negotiated, like she's a little 5-year-old negotiator. You know, she's like, can I just snuggle with a blanket and calm down? And when I feel better, I can get up. And at that point it was like, yes, fine. You just need a change of state. Like you need
totally. Yes.
And then she was fine the rest of the day. Yeah. But it's just like, she was just going around almost like, you know, a little gang member, like just my corner, you know?
Totally. Like this super weird behavior where you're like, what is happening right now? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, all right, girl. It's, I don't know. It's interesting. So yeah. So let's schedule time for you to be on mine. And then let's just keep in touch with all of this crazy business happening. 'Cause however I can help you, happy to do it.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Send me the link and I'll get on there ASAP. 'Cause I'm trying to just keep my schedule as busy as possible between client work and agency work and everything like that. So if there's a gap, like I'm trying to fill it so that, because right now it does.
So Adam doesn't take your office.
So Adam doesn't take my office. I know that.
I'm busy. You cannot take my space.
That was not part of the deal. So, I think that's going to have to be a line item on my to-do list is find another quiet location, because like, I'm like Farah, like this is mine.
Yes, totally. Yes. You can't have that.
No. I mean, I might have to pull out some of my photography equipment and backdrops and relocate to the closet. I don't know, but, something will have to be done.
That's funny.
So, all right, girl. I love you.
Best wishes. Day. I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I hope you've received value, encouragement, and exactly what you need to help keep you in momentum to grow and impact the world around you. Big or small, we all make a difference. Thanks also for subscribing, downloading, and leaving a review. This helps us reach others who need this message in their life. If you know anyone who would benefit from this podcast, please share so you and I can help more people boldly step into purpose. It is my heart's mission to help and encourage others. My internal belief that a rising tide lifts all ships. So much of what we talk about on the podcast is leading with value and building relationships through service. So we've created a collection of resources for you to continue growing, whether you are just getting started or ready to scale your business. Visit amplifymyimpact.com for show notes, downloads, programs, and more information about how to directly work with our team to amplify your impact and change the world.